breach the blockade.
New details from the Pentagon on a campaign to keep the pressure on Iran with the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports and to expand interdictions beyond the Persian Gulf.
To the regime in Tehran, the blockade is tightening by the hour. We are in control. Nothing in, nothing out.
More than 30 ships have been turned around by the blockade so far, according to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. But he says the blockade is also now, quote, going global. U.S. forces seizing what Hegseth called 2 Iranian Dark Fleet ships that had made their way into the Indian Ocean. Vessels which Hegseth said had left Iranian ports before the blockade went into effect.
They thought they'd made it out just in time. They did not.
The first ship seized by U.S. warships was the massive tanker Tufani on April 20th. According to Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Dan Kane, the sanctioned vessel was transporting Iranian oil at the time.
At approximately 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. military forces and law enforcement forces also went to the ship via rotary wing platforms, fast-roped onto her deck, and secured her.
2 days later, a similar interdiction of what he called the stateless tanker, the Majestic X. As with the seizure of the Tufani, video of the operation issued by the Pentagon.
Motor vessel Majestic X, we intend to conduct the boarding of your vessel.
U.S. forces then seen rappelling onto the deck of the Majestic X.
Both ships, the Tufani, the Majestic X, and their crews remain in U.S. custody.
Those operations coming on the heels of a U.S. destroyer firing on, then seizing the Iranian cargo ship, the Tosca.
Motor vessel Tosca.
After U.S. officials said the Tosca ignored repeated warnings to stop. That means the U.S. forcibly seized 3 large Iranian-linked vessels within the span of 4 days.
The lesson to the Iranian ships is, if you slow down and let us board you, you'll get the vertical envelopment. If you don't, you'll get the 5-inch gun, followed by the vertical envelopment.
Meanwhile, Hegseth says Iran's fleet of speedboats, operated by the Revolutionary Guard Corps, has been severely downgraded to what he calls a group of criminals on the high seas.
The IRGC specifically has been reduced to a gang of pirates with a flag.
Hegseth says those speedboats are still harassing civilian ships.
These ships can do damage. They can have a boarding party like we've seen, where they put ropes and ladders across and board the ship and take control of the pilot house. They could also just launch weapons inside a ship using rocket-propelled grenades or something like Javelin anti-tank weapons and do real damage to the ship.
I asked retired Admiral Mark Montgomery if the U.S. resumes combat operations, would it be stretching U.S. forces too thin to engage in combat, enforce the blockade, and conduct those wide-ranging interdictions of tankers? Admiral Montgomery said the U.S. could still pull it off, could still launch about 500 to 700 strikes a day. But he also said the Iranians would, of course, ramp up their retaliation, firing cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones at American ships.
播报新闻是我的日常，必须时刻保持妆容和皮肤的最佳状态。当来到人生中最重要的时刻，也是 KS 逆时奇迹帮助我轻松驾驭，闪闪发光。KS 逆时奇迹活肤露全效精华、精华霜，多达5种 EGF 6大冻龄关键成分，保湿效果让我非常满意，小细纹也不再困扰我。我就是我自己的最佳女主角。KS 让我从容自信，光彩动人。我是我人生中的大女主，我的最爱我做主。KS 逆时奇迹系列热卖中，下单请上快点购，透过中天新闻网 App 下单立减50，或输入 CTI 推荐码有额外折扣。